Happy birthday, Gemini. Double treble. The twins. Is anybody born between May 21st to June 22nd? I'm gonna double check that. And I'll put the right date on the shit. But happy birthday, Gemini. Now, I spent a lot of time researching Gemini. Um, because my son's father is a Gemini. And kind of find out in my birth chart, I have a Gemini moon. Okay, so that's a significant placement in your birth chart, your moon sign. So it's like, where do I even start with Gemini? It's so many things to unpack and to tackle with Gemini. And I'm gonna just go ahead and go through the disclosures that we're all multiple signs. We're a combination of signs, okay? And outside factors matter as far as your environment that you were raised in, the traumas that you experience, your parents, how they raised you, your influences, things of that nature, and then ultimately free will to be able to pick and decide, which qualities you want to highlight within yourself, and also just the overall programming of society itself. A lot of us aren't operating in our natural state of being. Okay, so with Gemini, it's a lot to unpack there. It's a lot of duality, polarity with Gemini. So Gemini is represented by the twins. Um, what is their ruling planet? Ooh, I'm probably gonna do a part 2 of this, and I'll have more of the factual information. I just wanted to kind of get this out the way before I forget. I'm actually doing it kind of early, again, so I won't forget. But all right, Gemini, double trouble. So you're getting a lot with a Gemini. Um, they they want you to think that they're emotionless, okay? That they're insensitive. Now I will say this. I will say this. I think the insensitive part is correct, but it doesn't necessarily mean emotionless, okay? These are still emotionally charged people. At least one of the twins is, okay? So there's still that where they react to things, you know what I'm saying, like things cause a big reaction to them. But when in terms of how they approach certain situations and how they speak to people, there's an insensitivity there because they don't really have empathy. Like, unless they actually went through that thing, they don't really possess that level of empathy that would say, that would be sensitive to someone else's feelings. Okay, so Gemini is a bit chaotic and all over the place. I think with them, the way their mind works or operates is just contradicting. You got two contradicting perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Constantly fighting each other each day. Like, I feel like that's how a Gemini mind works. So at times when they're speaking, it sounds like they're contradicting themselves, but really those two different perspectives at play at the same time. And with Gemini, they kind of they just say it. Like, Gemini is talkative. I think they were by Mercury. Their ruling planet is Mercury. It gotta be, because Mercury is the planet for communication. Yes, it has to be. I'm gonna look it up and make sure. Again, I might do a part 2 if I'm incorrect. But yes, so I think they're ruled by Mercury. So they're very talkative. They're very much about communication and conversation and the attention. They want, when there's a conversation, they want like the attention on them. You know, very confident, egotistical, even arrogant, but very, very sure of themselves, because Gemini is an intelligent sign. Most air signs are, because it's all about the mental with them. So they think a lot. You know, they have the capacity to receive information and hold information. The problem that Gemini has, they don't possess a filter or organization of the thoughts. Everything is just coming in at once, and they're kind of just letting it come in and stay there. You know, so they're not compartmentalizing. That's why I keep trying to use big words. But they're not like grouping the thoughts in categories and like focusing on one thing at a time. So typically when you do talk to a Gemini, their point that they're trying to make is over here. They start here. Within that length is going to be so many different unrelated points to the untrained ear. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna just be all over the place, because again, they got two different perspectives working in their head. So to pay attention properly to a Gemini, you have to take note of everything that they're saying and then group it together for them. A lot of people don't have the time. They don't want the time to do that. So instead of doing that, you know, they're just confused by Gemini. They're just confused. They could call Gemini crazy, weird, all that type of stuff, because they just don't understand how to put the puzzle together. I feel like Gemini's brain is like a puzzle. Sometimes the pieces are just missing or misplaced. They there, you just got to put it together. You know, it takes patience and you know, that attention to detail in order to really follow their train of thought up until their point. But you know, they're very good. They're very interesting people, I would say, because again, it's all about the mental. They know how to hold a conversation. Intelligent people, so they can talk about pretty much any topic and have like valid points. You just have to, you know, follow the breadcrumbs. But even though, you know, like I said, they want to be like this nonchalant, they want to give this idea that they're nonchalant and emotionless, they are they're very affectionate. They are very affectionate, and you know, they have that lovey-dovey side. They enjoy the lovey-dovey side. They don't like the conflict side. So once it gets to the conflict side, then the insensitivity comes in, to where it's like, you know, they're not trying to deal with all of your emotions, because they are overloaded with their two different perspectives, and those two different perspectives have their own emotions. So Gemini is already dealing with a lot with themselves that is hard for them to then have to deal with somebody else's emotions, because they're dealing with it themselves. They expect you to deal with your shit yourself. Like, that's the idea. But they can be very good partners. It's just a lot that comes with them. It just takes the time to get to know them and to understand them. It depends on what else is going on in their birth chart, to whether or not they're going to be grounded and be able to, you know, stay in one place. Because also Gemini is like active. Like, they can't really be still. They're not still up here. You know what I'm saying? The mind is always going. It's always battling itself. So it reflects in whatever they do. They just can't really just sit still. And, you know, they got to be moving. They like to have fun. They like to be in the mix. You know what I'm saying? And because it's just energetic. They have to be active. Gemini has to be active. You don't see too many lazy Geminis that just sit back and do nothing. They have to be on the go, even if they not supposed to be. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely do a part 2. But leave comments.